Thank you so much, Mr. Krishna. And we are also going live on Facebook. So I'm sure a lot of people will be seeing us on Facebook as well. I welcome to this webinar, and thank you so much for coming on board. I can absolutely understand that you must be extremely busy given the pandemic. I mean, it is probably not, on one side, it is not the right time to do this kind of a discussion, but on the other side, it is definitely the right time to talk about this, because if not now, then when? Happy to introduce our honorable guest today. Mr. Praveer Krishna is the Managing Director of TriFed and an extremely dynamic leader that, for all the organizations who are working with the tribal indigenous communities. Sir, your leadership is extremely inspiring, and we look up to you for a lot of projects and, even guidance. I mean, basically what you have done is, sir, that you have shown that lots of things can be done for the tribal indigenous communities. I mean, lots of things are possible, lots of things are done. You have showed all of us the right direction of moving forward, and you have actually inspired and motivated us to think big and do big, which is what has happened. Thank you so much for all of that. And I would definitely like to, you want to start by saying something about, giving direction. I have a lot of questions for you, yes. But before I start asking you questions, do you want to say something, sir?
Yeah. Thank you very much. You've been very kind with your words. And it is indeed an opportunity. This travesty that we're facing, this absolute pandemic that we're facing is also an opportunity which sort of recommits us or forces us to recommit to the goals of working for greater equality, greater development in the tribal sector, and in all such sectors where development is needed much more than the rest of the sectors. And it provides us a wonderful opportunity to really look at what all that can be done. And in fact, I tell you, this is a time when we have to look at the livelihoods and the ways that it can grow, the enterprise part of it, not just livelihoods for the ones which will actually be a long term, which can be achieved, which can give us results in the long term, which can sustain in the long term in adding to the incomes of the tribals. Well, we need to work out various ways to sort of improve the health and education and rest of the systems that we work with. But it's very important that we add to the incomes of the tribal, what goes to his hand, so that his the quality of his life improves. Now, what do we do? And what are the issues which should be taken up to improve that? So I strongly believe that the issues will be greatly, the things will greatly help if we get into tribal livelihoods and in things which tribals are masters at, which is the forest-based livelihoods that the tribals are absolute masters and owners now with the Forest Rights Act. They possess it. They literally hold absolute title over it. So if we can improve those the systems so that tribals do those which they're masters at, and which a little marketing support and a little branding support, a little packaging and value addition that we can do to the products that they have, if we would have done our job. So this is what we try and talk to you with you, Sarika, and rest of us that we look forward to doing today.
So pandemic has actually exposed a fundamental weakness in our system, unfortunately. And what we need is a collective resilience to come out of this pandemic. And this also includes like deep structural inequities around income, caste. Unfortunately, as you said, that our tribals are at the bottom absolutely at the bottom of the pyramid in everything, whether it is income, whether it is opportunities, whether it is development. And we clearly need a very different approach, especially post-pandemic, to support our communities to come out of this stronger. I mean, can we look at this as an opportunity to kind of create a system where they become much more resilient than what they were in the past? What are your thoughts, sir, on this? I mean, how do you go forward?
I completely agree that tribals, about 10% of the population, say about 11 crores in all, all over the country. 50% of this population lives in forests, the forest areas, and tribals have a very symbiotic relationship with the forest. Forests have existed where tribals have existed, and tribals have existed where forests have. So they both thrive on each other. So, in given this situation, it is certainly true that the tribals on this day are the lowest rung of our economic ladder, of the poverty ladder. And what we need to do is get them out of it with a big shock, like what the says is a long jump, that is needed. Various strategies have been put in place, but what I strongly believe, what TriFit strongly believes is we need to focus on skills that they have. We need to do things that they can readily sort of master, which they are already past masters in. So the inequality question, the poverty question is all linked to additional incomes that can be generated. While there is one way to develop infrastructure, roads, culverts, bridges, schools, hospitals, that is absolutely essential. But what you need to is to give them income in hand. What do we do to add to their incomes, which goes directly to their quality of life issues? So this is the Forest Rights Act and the PISA have come in very big here. And I think the present pandemic has, if nothing else, it has exposed this gap, and that we need to look at this in a very focused and very concentrated manner, that this opportunity is not missed again. For example, so I can tell you last year when we did this minor forest support price, for the first time a 3,000 crore procurement could be done out of the minor forest producers. 85 items now fall under the MSP list. And for the first time in the 70 years history of trying to do this, a 3,500 crore injection could be done through the minimum support price scheme. Now, what is this minimum support price scheme? It is buying forest producers at prices which are reasonable and good. As you know, these tribals live in deep forests, and they are sort of subject to exploitation or whatever you call it through middlemen who buy in the deep jungles. They don't travel to big market to sell their commodities. So these small traders travel to their forest hamlets and buy these things at very cheap prices. So the single point injection of the minimum support price, we included 85 items in the minimum support price bouquet of items. And by giving them fair prices, almost 3,500 crores could be injected into tribal economy. So that was during the pandemic last year. So everybody realizes that this is a strong asset and this is a strong way to get into. And the pandemic proved that what we are saying is true. So like you said, pandemic has an opportunity. While it is a tragedy for a lot of us and it's been extreme hardship for a lot of us, it also has a strong opportunity to grab onto certain things which become extremely useful and add to the incomes of the tribal.
Right. So my related question actually that, like we have been working with the tribal indigenous people of Maharashtra for the last 7-8 years now. And what we have seen is that while the overall objective of most of the organizations like ours is to create local opportunities so that they can lead a better life in their own villages and do not have to migrate. But when we started working there, we saw that there were too many other impediments to livelihoods in the tribal areas. Like in our area, water is a huge impediment. And in absence of water, tribals cannot continue to live there throughout the year and they are forced to migrate. So clearly any livelihood opportunity in absence of, unless you address that impediment, nothing is possible. Similarly, health is a big impediment. Almost every third child is malnourished, wasted, stunted. And what I have studied is, what I have seen is that different tribal areas, there are multiple different impediments to livelihoods. So clearly, while livelihood has to be the key focus, has to be the core objective, it is very important that we understand these impediments and address these impediments, to make those livelihoods sustainable and make those livelihoods scalable.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, this is an impediment for any section of the society. Health, education, infrastructure, drinking water, electricity. These are factors which are an impediment for any system, any sector of the society. So what we are saying is that given these problems, while they need to be addressed at the best possible manner, good quality of education, good health care, a drive against stunting and a drive against malnutrition, is absolutely, there can be no discussion on it, that it is an absolutely essential thing to do. And the systems that we have in place, they need to be enforced, reinforced, doubled, quadrupled many times.
Right. So my question,
Tribal lives in the forest not for the last 20, 30 years. He's been living there for thousands of years. And he genetically, forests are a part of his DNA. What appears very difficult for us to sustain, he's been there for 1,000 years, or maybe 100 generations have been existing there. Now, what is it that we can do to add to his income so that he can get access to better school, he can get access to better education, he can get access to better healthcare? If he's earning 10,000, what can we do to get it to 50,000? If he's earning 1,000, what can we do to get it to 10,000 without trying to displace him, without trying to get him to some other alien place or trying to get him into other alien occupation, which he absolutely doesn't relish. He's been there for 1,000 years, not because he doesn't like the place. He's been there for 1,000 years because he really likes the place, and it's part of his genetic makeup. So given the circumstances, while we need to work really hard for education, health, and infrastructure, there can be no argument in that, Sarika. This is absolutely not an argument at all. We don't argue that this is not needed. This is mandatory and this has to be done. The state has to provide that. But given the fact that we now have PESA and we have a Forest Rights Act, which has given ownership to non-timber forest producers, we did a calculation and we found out that 2 lakh crore of raw material existed in forests. And the tribal was the only way to get this out of the forest and to get it to the primary market. The only way that this 2 lakh crore of raw material can be taken out of forest and taken to the primary market is the head load of the tribal. We said that why do we just restrict it to a raw material things? Why can't we get into value addition, branding, marketing, and selling? So we thought that if a countrywide program could be launched where 50,000 such self-help groups could be set up, where 20 tribals each could settle down, and they will not just gather the forest produce and bring it and sell it to the trader, but they would gather it, value add, brand, market, and sell it, then it would give them about 5 to 6 times the income. For example, say tamarind. Tamarind in the local market sells for 35 rupees if it is minimum support price. Otherwise, it's for 20 rupees in the primary village market. Now, a simple process of defibering the tamarind or de-seeding the tamarind pushes the prices to say about 200 rupees. And our next simple process of powdering it or converting into a little spice pushes it up to 600. So from 30 rupees to 600 is the value chain of the tamarind. And if the tribal can do it, he does it, he can do it very well. His income moves from 30 rupees a kg to 600 rupees for 2 kgs or 3 kgs. So why can't this be done? So why do we take that the tribal is a gatherer by instinct and he needs to remain a gatherer? So the enterprise part of this whole value chain will have to be put into the tribal system to go along with the health, education, infrastructure, drinking water, and electricity, and rest of the things that we need to provide. So the income that the tribal is getting, maybe 1,000 a month, will get to 10,000 a month. So a better road, a better infrastructure will give him added income. He could drive a motorcycle on that road which you have built for him. He will drive to the hospital that you built for him. He will get a good sari for his wife and give his child a good education in a good school that you have created in the area. So what we say is that, Mera one in my forest, it's the tribal's forest, it's nobody else's. He owns it, literally owns it. The government of India have given this right for him to own it. So Mera one, Mera dhan hai, wo Mera dhan hai. So let me earn out of it. Let me earn out of it. Don't turn your faces to this also and earn all that is coming out of the forest. So Mera dhan, Mera one, and add my udyam to it. Mera dhan, Mera one, or Mera udyam. And then I will double, quadruple, multiple times raise my income. So facilitate this because I am not a good marketing person. I can produce, I can gather, I can aggregate, but I cannot market for nuts. So if you can just facilitate a marketing system, my whole system with the infrastructure that you're providing, the school, the education, the health, the electricity, the water supply, the drinking water, I will earn 20,000 in place of 2,000. And then I can use these resources that you're giving me, or you're trying to at least give me, use them better, make them of better use to me, and make it of my quality of raise the quality of my life, and I'll aspire to a better quality of life. So this is the thing that we are trying to put in place in the system, and these two are really complementary. Let me tell you, these two are, there's no fight between these two. These are complementary, and the more the merrier, the faster the better. So this is what we are trying to talk.
That's wonderful. Absolutely. So I wanted to ask you that any collaboration are you, I mean, you of course work with a lot of organizations locally, NGOs locally. So some of the questions that came up were that we have been wanting to work with TriFed, because in our area, Vandhan can work beautifully well. And people wanted to know the process of getting in touch with your esteemed organization and how can they partner with you. So is there I have two questions related to this. One is, of course, what is the system? And second is, post-pandemic, are you rethinking on the system to expedite the partnerships and to kind of expedite the whole thing? Because I mean, especially now, I think last year pandemic did not reach the tribal areas and rural areas, but this year it has wreaked havoc in the tribal areas where we work. It is absolute chaos. So clearly we have to up our ante, we have to pull up our socks, and we have to scale up our programs big time. So so what are your plans as far as, how do organizations get in touch with you? Have you shortened the process? Because otherwise, if 1 or 2 years just goes in bureaucratic processes, it will be too late, especially after pandemic. I mean, I'm not saying that it's a bureaucratic
absolutely right. No, you're absolutely right. The whole Vandhan concept is based on partnerships. 1,000 partnerships. We want 1,000 partnerships. In fact, we want literally we want 2,400 partners to nurture each of the clusters that we have set up all over the country. You see, we have set up about 37,000 self-help groups in the country of tribals residing in forests and who gather about 100 types of forest producers. We have calculated that out of the 2 lakh crores that they are total value, the ones that we are looking at is about 50,000 crores per annum. Now, these have been divided into 2,225 clusters. And each cluster needs a mentor, which is locally available, which could be an NGO, which could be an individual, who resides in that area and who helps this self-help group to get into marketing, branding, packaging of the forest producers that he gathers. So we are literally looking at partners, and the process to select these partners is a walk-in interview where you put in your papers. It's just a little one-pager is a note that you say that I reside in, say, X area, say Gadchiroli of Maharashtra, and I need to work with the Vandhan systems there. And this is what will take us to appoint you as the mentor of that organization. So that mentor is also paid about, say, 7% of the total cost of that one startup, 15 lakhs. So we pay about 85,000 as a consultation fee, and 10% of the retail sale that happens after that, or bulk sale that happens after the production gets into. Suppose this Giloy group in Shahpur in Maharashtra, they started with a 15 crore corpus of Vandhan that we gave. And now these people have a book order of 1 crore 57 lakhs. So this whole pandemic, Giloy was a huge commodity and everybody wanted Giloy as an immunity booster. Now this self-help group started with a 18 lakh, 20 lakh thing, and it is now grown up to into 1.57 crore book orders. He's unable to, so he's expanding like, so similar self-help groups which reside in local forest areas, they can do wonders with things if a little support is given by mentoring organizations. Raha Foundation could be one. And we are looking for thousands of such organizations to help these tribals find a footing in the big market. While they can produce, they can do everything, but the branding, marketing, packaging is a little specialized thing, which is alien, a little alien to them. So we need to introduce this marketing concepts into their production and gathering systems. And we literally need thousands of organizations. And the process is not bureaucratic, very simple. The regional manager, we just had a meeting in the morning regarding this, a long meeting where we have identified all the processes that will be sort of put in place to do this. And this is how we'll take this forward. So it's a very simple process. It's on our website. The mentoring part of all these 50,000 self-help groups that we need to put in the country, which will be clustered into, say, about 3,000. So the minimum number of partners that we need in the country is 3,000.
That's a huge opportunity for so many organizations.
Everybody. So everybody who's working in this field and everybody who's been working in tribal areas and working for the tribals to sort of improve their livelihoods and improve their infrastructure, improve their education, health and services are all welcome. And we'll empanel them all. We'll put them on a sort of mentoring list of mentors, and we'll have workshops, we'll have conferences, we'll have video sessions with them. And then this is how we want to take it to the next 12 months. So we finalized this today itself, and we're looking for 3,000 mentors in the country. You said, so what is the way? And it's a very simple process. Each of the RMs have already written to the state governments, and the state governments are big partners here. The state tribal department and the forest department are implementing and nodal agencies which take this program forward. So a simple process by which we'll be sort of getting 3,000 people on board, good organizations on board, is what we are looking at.
So when you say good organization, like what should be the qualification? Should it be like a 3-year-old, at least 3-year-old organization?
At least 3-year-old, at least 5-year-old. We say it's a 5-year-old organization, even better. We're looking for a 5-year-old organization which has worked in tribal or rural areas in similar fields for promoting livelihoods, health, education, and other services, and has a little base, has a little office, has a little hierarchy, a little small hierarchy of committed people who will take this forward. So the mentors will need to be, they shouldn't need any training to take this forward. So that should define what a mentor means. And the mentor should be what you call the sort of flag bearers of this whole program.
Right, wonderful. Very nice, very encouraging and very exciting. And I will definitely share the link of our, the webinar with all my other peers. And
please do that. Please do that. Share it with all other people. And we believe in the more the merrier. And we really need these numbers because this is a countrywide program, and we cannot run it from the isolation of a Delhi office or isolation of a regional manager's office. We need 3,000 partners spread all across the country who will be eyes, nose, ear, throat, everything. And they will be allowed to sort of, it will be their baby after that. And right. And they grow with this organization. So there's a built-in incentive of a time-bound payment plus an incentive of say 10% on the sale of the product that you help produce. So that should be a good incentive to take this forward.
So is the TriFood at Jagdalpur part of the same scheme?
Yes. TriFood is the next. The tertiary is the industry model. So we were talking of cottage and medium scale and small 15 lakh, 20 lakh, 30,000, 30 lakh, up to 20 lakh things. TriFood is a 8 crore enterprise where we want to put the minor forest producers as an industry. While you have, these will be tribal food parks. The TriFood project in Jagdalpur and Raigad is also coming up. Is a tribal food park entirely based on tribal products, and they will be professionally managed by a hired team of professionals. So while the tribal will be the supplier and the owner of the project, management will be professionally done through a team of hired professionals who will be taken from the market through a sourcing process. So we are putting about 8 crores at Jagdalpur. 26 acres of land, government land has been TriFed's land. It was TriFed, it was allotted to me. It was allotted to TriFed when I was collector at Jagdalpur, say decades ago. And that land was still available for some business. So we got into this business. And now a tribal food park is coming up where 10 products will be processed. Cashew, honey, mawa, tamarind, avla, and what you have. And they will be branded, packaged, and marketed. 10,000 suppliers will supply directly to this tribal food park, where it will be processed, branded, packaged, and marketed, and then all over the country. So this is a large industry model of the enterprise development program that we are working at. And we want to replicate it at least at 100 places in the country. So we're trying to find funding for it. Mostly it's mostly available. Government pe paisa to mil hi jata hai. You need to know how to spend it. So it's a 2,400 crore project that has been tied up. And we need to set up such 100 tribal food parks.
Right. So one of the persons I was talking to asked me that, you are doing, say, tamarind, cashew in Jagdalpur. Probably you will do a similar kind of an activity in
anything which is amenable to value addition.
Are we like, is there a competition between Jagdalpur tribals and Maharashtra tribals? Because
no. Maharashtra tribals will do it in Raigad or at Gadchiroli.
No. I'm talking about the market, sir. So ultimately,
yeah, competition. Everybody thrives in competition. Good competition is always welcome. But it's such a huge market, unexplored market, that whatever will be produced, and if it is of good quality and good, properly, scientifically and nicely branded and marketed, there is absolutely room for everybody. There is absolutely room for everybody to sort of work here. It's a huge market, I tell you. It's completely unexplored. Not even 5% of the potential has been tapped. So if we can get on to this, the tribal marts, as we call them. So they will be the first of its kind, a tribal food park. While we have food parks, this is exclusively for tribal products coming out of the forest and to be sort of tribal centric. So this is a tribal centric food park, which will look at the skills of the tribals, which will look at the capacities of the tribals, and which will look at products which tribals have been working with for a very long time.
Right. So generations, absolutely, sir. While we are on this, Dr. Shubhangi has asked you what are your plans for Northeast? I mean, any plans for
Northeast? We have a very major plan for the Northeast. We're putting in place a 150 crore marketing project. The Northeast ka problem is they produce wonderful things, but sort of they are unable to mainstream because of the transport bottlenecks. So we're putting in place a 150 crore marketing project exclusively for taking care of the bottlenecks of logistics and transport and godowning and transportation. So we're trying to set up about 10,000 artisans, to shortlist 10,000 artisans and provide them marketing support all over the country and internationally, not only in the country, but also internationally. So this is a huge thing. And there are master craftsmen of the tribal Northeast. Is like the goods they make are exotic. And then, but the bottlenecks of transportation and the rest of it limits their, so we're trying to set it up in the country as well as abroad.
Right.
And that should be in the annual. So it's a 2,400 crore project to market and brand and produce, and it's only internal tribal centric. So this was going to sort of a game changer for the tribal economy, is what we like to believe and what we hope it will be. So you remember Amul? I will tell you Amul 30, 40 years ago when it started. So milk was a milk and bought and sold, and then Paulson and the rest of them would make all the money. Now these cooperatives, so it's a huge sort of egalitarian system where 10 lakhs, 30 lakhs families, 50 lakh, a crore families are now part of it. So we are looking at 10 lakh families per year to sort of get into enterprise mode, from gathering and raw material selling mode to enterprise mode. And Amul is our driving inspiration here.
Right, wonderful. You mentioned that the tribals and the forest, they have a symbiotic relationship. And we just had Earth Day, and we were looking at some of the statistics on how badly we have behaved with our earth, and the rate at which the forests are cut. I was told that some 1 hectare every minute, we are losing forests at that rate. That's a huge rate. And honestly, when we talk about losing forest, the first thought that comes to our mind is tribals thrive in forests. So I mean, clearly, this is a huge problem. This is going to be a huge problem, and we have already seen a lot of problems, in our area of intervention where we work. Any project? I mean, while yes, I mean, I'm sure you will encourage things like moringa, cashew, because ultimately they can earn an income. Agroforestry, they will earn an income. But lots of indigenous planting also needs to be done to address the climate change. So any extension of your existing schemes where you could probably encourage people to plant forests, and any thoughts on that, sir?
Yeah. We have a collaboration with the Ministry of Ayush and Environment and Forest to get into developing non-timber forest producers around every village cluster where there is a forest and where there are non-timber forest producers. Unfortunately, the plantation, most of it is not non-timber forest like tamarind, mahua, all these things which produce products, forest products. So we have a program by which we want to plant a 5-acre area across every village to convert into a non-timber forest producing land. and to reclaim those denuded forest areas, which can be replanted with timber, with trees, which are non-timber and product based. So we have a program to get into that, but and we are looking for partners who can do that. We can looking for partners who can look at such areas. But you know, planting is one thing, and maintaining it for the next 5 years is the big ticket exercise. So you need the local community to really participate into it, because once you go and plant a tree, well, it is a difficult thing to do, but it can be done. But then maintaining it for the next 5-10 years and letting it grow and seeing it green again, the local community will have to strongly be part of it. And then once we get that thing in motion, well, we have a program to create 5 acres of non-timber forest producers around every habitation where Vandhan is being taken up. So we believe that once the forest dweller starts earning well out of that produce, instead of 300, he starts to get on 3,000. So he becomes a strong advocate of protection of that area. You'll not let anybody enter into that area. So we believe that let's this Vandhan thing get into the system. Let him start making more money. And then let us get him towards planting and protection, because he will not kill the goose that lays the golden egg. Obviously, he is smart enough not to do that. And he would not let others do that. The tribal doesn't harm his forest. It's mostly others, the outsiders, the timber merchants, the wood and timber mafia, which damages forest. So if the tribal starts earning from non-timber forests the way he needs to, they will not let anybody damage it. So we need to work on those lines, and we need partners. We need strong partners for this also. And we're looking for that.
So is the information again available on the website if somebody wants to partner with you for this 5-acre forest that you just mentioned?
Yes, it is available on the website. Certainly available on the website.
Right. So for Vandhan, to start implementing Vandhan, is there any number that is the minimum number required? Like there should be at least say 150 or 500 people onboarded to actually implement this scheme, or it can start with a very small numbers and then slowly people can join in. I mean, is there some base that you look at when you actually start working with organizations to implement Vandhan scheme?
No, Vandhan ke, the basic requirement is that it should be a 60% tribal group. It should be a cluster of 15 such self-help groups, comes to around 300 per cluster. Right. It should be forest-based, so it has to be around forest. It cannot be set up. It should be some sort of a non-timber forest-produced things. So ultimately, this will be a very simple selection by which 20 forest gatherers have to be put together. And then a 15 lakh grant is given to them. A 300 group is given a initial starting workup startup capital of 15 lakh to work around the products that he's chosen and get into value addition, branding, packaging, and marketing. Once this cluster develops, a 2.5 crore further expansion grant under the Spurti scheme is given. So starting with a 15 lakh grant, a 2 crore 50,000 crore grant is then further given to the system, injected to take it to the next level. So it is some sort of a facilitation to promote enterprise among the gathering that the tribals do, the value addition that the tribals do, and to take them to branding, marketing their own products, so that the 60% of the money is made in branding, packaging, and marketing. This also comes to the tribal, and his income quadruples from the present level. So it's a simple method. It's available on the website, and the regional office of TriFed in all states has the full information.
Wonderful. I want to talk a little bit about the tribal culture, tribal art. You know, you have been one of the key organizations promoting tribal art through the numerous retail outlets that you have. Yes. And now, of course, you are on e-commerce. You are doing all these Adi Mahotsavs, digital Adi Mahotsavs. Yeah. I think that's extremely exciting for organizations, again, like us and many other organizations who are working with tribal artisans. Yeah. And super exciting. Are you also doing international selling? Any plans for going international?
Yeah. We have full plans to go international. We certainly like to do that, and we have written to 100 embassies. We are in touch with 100 embassies to set up a tribal exhibition in each of these 100 embassies and their areas of their influence. So it's a national and international marketing, because production is difficult but is available. marketing gives it the edge that it needs to go big time. So we have these plans to sell all these products nationally on e-commerce portals and internationally through all the good offices of the government of India and the embassies that we have across the world.
Right. So this pandemic has also impacted the tribal artisans big time. I mean, from lost sales to lost opportunities to piled up inventory which they have not been able to sell, to actually not having any income. So farmers at least grow rice and millets for self-consumption. So there is some sense of food security in the tribal farmers, So even if you're not earning money, at least there is enough food for you. You're not going to go hungry. That's not the case with tribal artisans, unfortunately, because it's their survival depends on the income they earn from by selling their art form, and the pandemic actually has affected them big time. I mean, we work with a lot of artisans, and we have seen what they have gone through. There were organizations like ours who were supporting them and who are continuing to help them, but we know of a lot of independent artisans who are working as an independent unit and who don't work under a large umbrella organization who can provide them support during pandemic. Any thoughts on, any ideas or any thinking about how Trifed can...
Yeah, absolutely. About 40 to 60% of the trade of the business has been affected because of the pandemic. But fortunately, every artisan, every artist that we have also has some part of the family or himself also who are working with the non-timber forest producer. Almost 70% of all tribal families, forest families, forest dwelling families, they have some other skills. There are multiple skilled people. So given the relative position, I think they're slightly better placed than other artisans who are entirely one skilled people. So these are multiple skilled people, and they can sort of face these with hardship because they are used to the hardship of living in a forest. And the pandemic, while has been some sort of a dampener, the multiple skills that they have, their things have been much better off. The non-timber forest producers product procurement that we do, the traders so what government did about 2,000 crores of procurement. The trade did another 4,000 crores of procurement at higher than MSP. So 5,000 to 6,000 crores has gotten into this economy during the next, we'll get into the next 90 days. And these non-timber producers are very precious. They have to be procured and sold. While the pandemic has delayed it, it will not be stalled. So the minor forest produce system will ensure that tribals get their incomes, maybe a little delayed, maybe a little distorted, but they will get it all the same. And we are pushing it livelihood with securities to ensure that this procurement work is not sourcing work, and procurement work goes on. And so whatever can be bought will be bought, and whatever can be sold will be sold. We'll facilitate it. And security with masking, hand gloves, and hand washing. These are things that we have introduced to our forest communities who do this trade of non-timber forest producers. And I'll hope that it's only fortunate that the tribals are multi-skilled and they can fall back on other options to take care of that. And the Van Dhan thing will only boost their economic activities and can get them into some enterprise in due course. So this becomes a sustainable system by which tribals can look after themselves, even in the worst crises.
Right. So one more thing, what our experience is that, while working with tribal artisans is that they have enormous skill. They are absolutely amazingly skilled, but they still need some capacity building. They still need, their art still needs some honing. They need some commercial training to understand what the market needs and get the products done accordingly. Any plans of Trifed, or is Trifed already doing that?
Yeah. Van Dhan is entirely, the first part of Van Dhan is like in hand holding and training and promoting that through interventions that we need to get into the art form that they have. So Bandhan ka, a lot of it, so we call it Tech for Tribals. So the IIT Kanpur and a lot of other 18 such institutions are partnering us in training the tribals into improving their marketing and branding and positioning their products and placing them in the market. So it's a very strong component. And as you know, you've been working in this field for a long time. This is the missing link. And once we can introduce it and sustain it over a long period of time, the whole thing converts into benefits for the tribals. So if he sends a Bhandara sari in his village, he'll sell it for 1,000 or 2,000. But once he brings it to Delhi, it sells for 5,000, 6,000. And he can get access to these large markets, little design intervention, a little color combinations that contemporary color combinations that can be introduced to his weaving skills. His market improves. So this is a very strong component of the whole program to provide design and marketing interventions and training through training. And I'm very glad to say that 18 top organizations of the country, which includes Tata Institute of Social Sciences in Mumbai, Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences in Bhubaneswar, IIT Kanpur, IIM Bangalore, IIM Ahmedabad, a lot of other voluntary and good social intentioned organizations are part of it. We call it Tech for Tribals.
Wonderful. I love the word Tech for Tribals.
Yes.
And under your leadership, we are also very happy to see the dynamic social media. You know, the social media is very, very...
Social media is so powerful. So we need to convey this message that what is done. Something the pratyaksham kim pramanam. We don't need to prove what is seen, which can be seen. You need to prove, you need to tell something is happening only if you cannot prove it. So pratyaksham जो समक्ष में है उसकी हम प्रमाण देते जाइए so that people start believing in what you're saying. Yeah. So social media is our medium for pratyaksham kim pramanam. Right. And we keep talking about so that friends can at least know and join the movement.
Absolutely.
In fact, we got together only through the social media. Oh, yeah, and we interacted and we got slowly and steadily, I'm sure this will build, and many organizations as good as yours can join this. We can join you, you can join us.
Absolutely, sir. Wonderful. One more thing, the tribals, they are part of our cultural heritage. You know, I mean, India's cultural heritage is ultimately the indigenous people, the tribals. Their beliefs, they have very unique beliefs, they have very unique traditions, culture, dance forms, art form, and everything is very, very unique. And I'm sure the festivals like Hornbill festivals have been organized to actually showcase this to the world so that people not only get to know the tribals, but tribals also can earn an income from this festival being organized in their own land. And, you know, this is also a way of preserving the tribal cultural heritage. Yes. Any plans of doing similar Hornbill-like festival across India? Because we have tribals. Maharashtra has 10% tribals. So, I mean, I'm sure some festival like this in Maharashtra tribal areas can be a fabulous hit, and it can definitely benefit one and all. I mean, why I'm asking you this question, sir, is because like when I tell people in Mumbai that I work with tribals, you know, a lot of people, while a lot of people know what tribals are, people still don't know what tribals, okay. You know, and especially I think the younger generation needs to be sensitized to, you know, tribals. Hindi films, unfortunately, have portrayed tribals as, you know, so, you know, very, very differently tribals have been portrayed, which they are not, you know. Lots of films don't portray them well. So it's very, very important to kind of talk about them in the mainstream media and talk good things about them. And festivals like Hornbill definitely, you know, does justice to their culture. That's why I thought I should ask you.
Sarika, we have a very strong, this Adi Mahotsav that we organized. This is almost, we have, this pandemic has sort of put a spanner in that. But we, small and big, if you calculate all of it, we do about 500 exhibitions all over the country, where local artisans are invited, they may showcase their things and sell them. Like the Delhi Adi Mahotsav, we did about 15 crores in 15 days. And for about 200 artisans, it's a huge amount. Some of them said this is good enough to sustain us for a whole year. So we do a lot of these craft, culture, cuisine, and commerce is what is the motto behind the Adi Mahotsav that we hold at all state capitals and tier 1 and tier 2 cities of every state. But now we're trying to get into a virtual sort of exhibition mode, keeping in view that this pandemic is not going away in a hurry. So most of our exhibitions had to be dropped or cancelled or postponed. mostly cancelled now. So we're trying to set up a virtual exhibition, permanent exhibition, where all these artisans can be provided one stall each and can be, they can sell all year round through invitation and through by rotation. Each segment, each state is invited for a month. The next state is invited for a month. So we're trying to put a virtual exhibition in place. In fact, if Ariman is on record, is Ariman here? No, perhaps not. So we'll sort of get into a virtual exhibition mode. So craft, culture, and cuisine, the 4 C's are from the basis of our exhibitions that we hold. And we completely believe that this is essential for getting mainstreaming the artisan into the big, connect him to the big markets. Like the vice president inaugurated the inaugural, say about 4 years ago. And he went and talked to some of the artisans. उन्होंने पूछा कि आप इतनी दूर से दिल्ली आए हैं और आपको कोई तकलीफ तो यहाँ नहीं हुई और यहाँ पे ये अधिकारियों ने आपके साथ अच्छा बर्ताव किया. तो there was about 20-30 they started dancing around him. So he was also taken by surprise कि ये क्या हुआ. तो then they said कि साहब ऐसा हुआ कि यहाँ पे तकलीफ तो छोड़िए, हमने इतने पैसे कमा लिए कि पूरी साल तक हम अगर कोई काम भी ना करें तो हम अच्छे से जिंदगी काट लें. So this is and after that we've been pushing for these. Adi Mohsen, the vice president, was very impressed, and he still is a great friend of Tribes India and always mentions TriFed and Tribes India whenever he has an opportunity. So we greatly thank him and respect him for his concerns. But that was one eye opener, and the fact that these Adi Mahotsav is not just an exhibition or a place to go and eat and have fun. This is a question of life and death for these tribals, and a 15-day ability to sell his things at Delhi is enough for him to live for the 1 full year. And whatever else he earns is a bonus. So we strongly believe that these festivals are excellent, showcasing and the Delhi people lap it. They wait for these Adi Mahotsav. And they lap the products very well because they're all handmade and genuine, and there is no hera-pheri in that. Everybody talks from the heart, and you can see the way they talk and sell these things. People like them very much. So we believe that craft, culture, cuisine, and commerce has to be at the side of all these tribal activities that we are doing. Craft, culture, and cuisine, they're exotic, they're world-class. Till it is added to the commerce of it, the tribal doesn't, it really doesn't help the tribal. Showcasing a tribal costume is not good enough till we can sell it and sell it at good prices. So this is what we are working at. And obviously you also, and all such similar organizations in the country who are like-minded are working. We have a collaboration with the JD Center of Arts. We're trying to promote these craft, culture, and cuisine through the various studies that Mr. Jatin Das has collected over his 70 years of working with the art in the art field. So we have collaborations. You think of somebody who's a big person, and we are collaborating with him, learning from his life experience and learning from the things that he has done. So all in all, commerce has to be the backbone of the tribal development story, and the e-platforms, that the digital platforms have to be the basis of any program that we think of now. So we are trying to build a digital e-commerce platform where we can accommodate 5 lakh tribal producers of the country. Each will be given a little, so we call it a tribal Amazon that we're trying to build, where every tribal producer has a small place and can sell his things and goods to the world and digitally. So these are things that are in the pipeline, in the accent, and we want to get about, say, about 1.25 crore tribals who live in forests, which for about 5.5 crore tribals who live in forests, into this digitally transformed commerce for their products, and hopefully many into 10x income for them is what we are looking at, planning, and hopefully we should get there.
Yeah, so we have 2 observations. One person wanted to know the 4 C's, which you have already explained.
Yes.
Then Dr. Jai Pawar from Deepak Foundation, Vadodara. She mentioned that recently their tribal FPC women had a wonderful experience at Delhi Haat. Yes. And great sale of their products at Adi Mahotsav. So she already sharing her experience, and I'm sure a lot of other organizations will be having.
Everybody is welcome. We need 3,000 friends, a minimum of 3,000 friends. So everybody who has a little concern for the tribal, a little corner of his thing is for the tribal is welcome. And today itself, we have formalized this plan to invite all of you. And letters would be going out. We'll be putting it on the website that we need 3,000 mentors for our tribal artisans. And we need you to partner them not only by words, but by action, by deed, and by really sharing, you partner the whole process. And we're looking forward to meeting all of you in the field. But while the pandemic, virtually, we certainly can meet virtually till the pandemic will let us meet in the field in Gadchiroli and in Mayurbhanj in Odisha, and Gadchiroli in Maharashtra, and Bastar in Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh. So these are the areas where we like to work with you in real time and hands-on.
Right. Wonderful, sir.
Deepak Foundation, I know there's some wonderful packaged products that they produce, and we're very happy to sort of work with them and collaborate with them in future.
So the brand is the TriFed brand, right?
The brand is the Tribes India, TriFed and Tribes India.
Tribes India.
Yes.
And you provide all the packaging support and everything.
Yes, we provide all the packaging, marketing, branding, promotion support. And the team has to just mentor them into doing it. It's at no cost. You'll be given 7% of the 15 lakhs and 10% of all sale that will be made. And there is no bureaucracy. There is no bureaucratic red tape or white tape or yellow tape. This is the entire scheme. You partner, you start with a 15 lakh grant, then a 2.5 crore grant, and then you get a 7.5% as for mentoring fees, and then a 10% in every sale that you do. Help them obtain as a retailer or a bulk, whatever you choose to partner as. Right. So it will be a business relationship. Commerce is should be at the back of any good relationship. If you really want to do for charity, and so things will work, but not for a long time. So let's be partners in commerce and for a good cause, and let's let the best ones succeed.
Absolutely, sir. And thank you so much for, we have been talking for 50 odd minutes, and I can go on actually. Honestly, I can just go on because this is
it's good to find partners, and good that the call is going out to the country, and then we'll certainly also take this forward again, and we can have all these we will have these regional forum where we can talk to our partners and invite them all and get them on board. And we really need all of you to be partnering this.
In fact, that's what I was going to ask you, that now state-wise, can we have like a smaller forums where...
Today itself, it has been decided to have a state-wise workshops and conferences where all these like-minded partners are invited. We tell them what we are trying to do and how we plan to do, and then get into a strong partnership and work begins. About 37,000 self-help groups, Vandhan Vikas Kendras have been set up. They have been divided into 3,224 clusters. They are already physically available. About 30% of them have started production. Another 70% remain to be brought into production. So this is the work all across the country. So it's not 10 here, 5 there, 20 there. It's about 50,000 self-help groups waiting to be mentored. And 30% of them are into production mode. The remaining 70% need a little push and a little nudge and a little guidance. So the call is to everybody to join.
Because of pandemic, I think the focus will be more of from centralized system to a more decentralized system.
More decentralized, completely decentralized system through the virtual world, in the virtual world. So we have set up links with all these production units, all these self-help groups, and all the regional managers have been requested to get in touch with them at least once a week to tell them all that needs to be done, how the paperwork, the rest of it, because anything that you need to do, you need to plan. May not be bureaucratic planning and pushing files, but the plan of a business that you need to do has to be very firm and good. Yeah. How do you brand it? What should be the pricing decisions? What should be the procurement decisions? Who should be sourcing it? Suppose millets. अब ज्वार का, बाजरा का, मक्की का आपको आटा ही बना के बेचना है, तो कितना क्विंटल मक्का खरीदें, कितना क्विंटल रागी खरीदें, उसको कहाँ पीसें, पैकेट के डिजाइन क्या रखें, प्राइस कितना रखें, रिटेल. All these will need a little mentoring and a little planning. Yeah. So 30% of us are already doing it. The remaining 70% need to be nudged and cajoled and mentored into getting into activities.
I'm sure, sir. And because of pandemic, tribals also realize the importance of staying back in their own villages.
Yeah. They know, because other options have closed. The other options are closed. So this is a natural product. So we believe that the minor forest producers will not be pandemic affected because nature provides them. and nature is not affected by the pandemic. So the production of non-timber forest producers will continue. The gathering will have to be refurbished and redesigned to suit the needs of the pandemic. Security and livelihoods will have to go hand in hand, and then this system can still deliver during the pandemic. This is the advantage of this tribal ecosystem, that it is fed by nature's resources, and nature's resources don't dry during a pandemic. Right. So we need to readjust to this changed situation, and we can double, triple. The Giloy example of Shahpur. So what was Giloy not selling too much, till 5 lakh, 10 lakh over a whole year. Now has a book order of 1 crore 57 lakhs in 3 months' time. So this is the opportunity which the pandemic has grown. And since the supply has not ceased, it's nature's supply. You just have to hone it to get income for you. So we need to really push it hard. And the more the merrier, the more good people join, the faster it can be achieved.
So my last question is climate change and tribals.
Yes.
They are in the line of fire as far as climate change is concerned. They are, because they live on mountains, valleys, and they are absolutely in the first line of fire. We clearly, all the organizations that are working with the tribals, under your guidance, we definitely need to have an adaptation and mitigation strategy. Any guidance, thoughts on that?
Yes, sir? Yes. It's a very important component. And we need to sort of, this is part of the training, Tech for Tribal program that we are running. This climate and green environment, and how to conserve and how to protect and how to take advantage of the various systems that have been put in place is a very important component of this whole drive. And we strongly believe that if the tribal starts gaining from what he owns, from mere say subservience, from mere sustenance to a livelihoods and enterprise mode, all these things become more meaningful. So the climate part of it, the green and the environmental conservation and conservation part of it is an important component of the Vandhan program. And the mentor will also have to introduce, while he knows what is the benefit of conservation, but at times one can get greedy, and then sort of chopping the whole tree for instead of getting the fruits down. So these practices and other things that we need to add to the whole technical component of a climate system, the carbon credits and the issues of how do we gain out of all that needs to be put in the system, and it's part of the component. The whole, it is an important component of the whole drive.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, sir, for sparing 1 hour for us. It's almost 1 hour.
It's been a pleasure. My pleasure too. It's been, I enjoyed it as much as everybody of us, and hope we can make some meaningful, we can take it to a meaningful conclusion and add many more friends to the whole program.
We are extremely happy with our relationship with Tribes India. Our Varli products are being sold through your stores.
Yes.
And we are extremely thrilled and excited about it. And we, in fact, we also have a small store in Shivaji Park where we are selling your products also, because we love the other tribal products. So we have a kind of a give and take relationship with Tribes India. And thank you so much. So before I close, one last wish I have from you. I hope you continue to be at the helm of Tribes India for at least 10 more years, if not more, because we have to have a dynamic, continuity is the mantra, and what you have started, you have to see it to fruition, and this is our wish. I'm sure everybody is joining me in this wish. Please continue to be at the helm of Tribes India, Sir TriFed, for at least 10 years, if not more. And thank you so much for everything you are doing.
Thank you very much. You're very kind, and thank you for your kind words. And we continue to work for the tribal cause, and continue to deliver with partners, good friends like you, and my whole team, which is energized. And in spite of the hardship that the pandemic has brought upon us, we continue to work and continue to work hard.
Thank you so much, sir. And we will definitely connect offline and take our discussions forward.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And all the very best. Keep safe. Keep working hard for the tribals and help them grow, develop. But you be safe all the time. Thank you. Thank you, Sarika. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Goodbye.
Bye.